guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, welcome. If you're new here, I love having you. This is going to be just a huge grind day for me. Sitting down and filming like 3 videos back to back to back. So if you see me wearing the same thing, mind your business. I'm working like a workhorse, you know, because there's so much I want to put out. Obviously, I have to talk about me going to my first ever AEW show, getting VIP, what that experience was like. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about what the VIP experience actually entails for AEW. So I want to talk about that. I have Dynasty predictions, which is the video that I'm doing right now. And then I'm going to make an entire video separately about the Owen Hart Tournament and what that's going to look like. So today is Friday. I will be uploading this Dynasty predictions video today. Tomorrow, Saturday, will be my sort of talk along about my Collision and Dynamite experience and VIP and all that. And then Monday, since Dynasty's on Sunday, Monday I will be uploading my whole video on the Owen Hart Tournament. Can I just say that first video I made of predicting Dynasty way too early, I cooked. Like, I wrote down all the matches that I got correct, and out of the 10 that have been announced, and including the ones that were announced prior to me making that video, the International Championship, the Women's Championship match, and the Men's Championship match, I got 4 of them on the money. Well, 3.5. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so there's 10 matches on this card. 4 out of the 7 that I talked about in the video, and then they added 3 more, which is fine. Not mad about it. Not mad about it. I did say in the video that they typically add like 8 to 10, and I was going for 8. You know, it happens. It happens. I think I got one of them wrong. It was an Owen Hart Tournament match that I just had no idea because they didn't announce the bracket. But I do feel really good that I was able to kind of get on the money with it. So with all that being said though, let's jump into what these matches look like, what sort of Dynasty is going to look like. I'm going to make my winners predictions because this should be the final card. I don't really see them adding anything on Saturday's Collision. I mean, they won't add anybody on Saturday's Collision because I was there. But we are going to jump into this video anyway and get my predictions off and sort of talk about these matches a little bit. If you like this video, if you don't, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, debate with me in the comments. Tell me what match you're excited for Dynasty. There's a lot of really, really good ones on here. Sort of towards the end, I can kind of talk about the ones that I'm excited for most. I mean, yeah, let's get into it. So I wrote these matches down. I have a notebook. Like, hi, I'm so professional. I wrote these down in no particular order, just the order in which they kind of came to mind. I did have to look up some of them because I just wasn't totally sure. And also some of them I wrote down first because I wanted to kind of get them out of the way. Looking at you, Jericho. And he's going to be the first match we're talking about. This is Chris Jericho versus Bandito. It is a title versus mask match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. I think Jericho loses. I think this is where Jericho loses that belt. And I hope it's where he loses this belt. I have not been too happy with how... I didn't think he should have won the belt in the first place. I haven't liked his reign. I don't watch a ton of Ring of Honor, but from the stuff that I have seen, I haven't been super impressed with him. And I don't know. And maybe that's just my bias talking because I don't like Chris Jericho. But I also don't see Bandito losing his mask. So this one feels pretty obvious. I think we're going to get an and new. Bandito is winning. And if he doesn't, I'm knocking all this shit over because... yeah. The second match that was added was the Hurt Syndicate versus Big Bill and Brian Keith of the Learning Tree. I don't mind Big Bill and Brian Keith. I understand the whole thing of Big Bill being like, I never lost the tag titles, so why don't we just do the match? Which is fine, I get that. However, I do think the Hurt Syndicate retains. I just don't see Big Bill and Brian Keith getting these belts. I think the Hurt Syndicate are going to make a statement with their tag reign and be this super, super dominant force till somebody eventually dethrones them, but it won't be on Dynasty. They will retain Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley. They will continue to be the tag champs. And now with this whole MJF situation kind of in the cards, a part of me wonders if MJF is going to have a hand somehow in this match, whether he helps the Hurt Syndicate or he does something and it pisses Bobby off and they have their own little feud thing going on. I don't know, but a part of me just thinks that MJF is going to have some sort of role in this match. It would be MJF fashion to insert himself into a match that he doesn't need to be involved in. That's just who he is. But yeah, Hurt Syndicate are retaining. This next one, and I got this prediction right in my predictions video I made a couple weeks ago, which I am super happy about because I had it loosely based on some previous stuff that I knew about. But this match is the Trios Championship match, the Death Riders versus Rated FTR. And I'm so happy that I got that right. I'm happy. I said it before in my last video that if Mox loses the title to Swerve at Dynasty, that the Death Riders would also lose their titles. I do still kind of agree with that, but at the same time, this kind of friction with Rated FTR is something that shouldn't be ignored. So, I don't know. I think we could potentially get new Trios champs. It's obvious they want Cope to have some sort of title at some point. This would be a decent title to give him without having him in the World Championship picture. Yeah, I mean, this is just a loose thing. And obviously, this is very much a toss-up now because of all the friction between Rated FTR, but I have them winning this match. The next match that I have written down is the trilogy of Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole for the TNT Championship. This match does have a stipulation. I did get this one right on the predictions, and I did say that there was going to be a stipulation possibly on this match, and there is one. Everybody is barred from ringside. So, yay me. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, I think that Daniel Garcia should retain here. I think he might retain. There is a possibility that we get some friction within Undisputed Kingdom after this. I don't know. For some reason, as much as Daniel Garcia has had quite a lengthy run with this TNT Championship, I personally, in my head, I don't have it as Adam Cole being the one to take it off of him. I actually have Kyle Fletcher taking it off of him, which would be really, really interesting. And so that's also part of the reason why I'm saying that Daniel Garcia is going to retain, because Kyle Fletcher is in the Owen, and I have a feeling he loses, and then after that is when he kind of shifts his focus to the TNT Championship. So, I think that Daniel Garcia is going to retain his TNT Championship. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam Cole took it off of him, but I do think at some point Kyle Fletcher is that kind of snake in the grass that's going to strike and take that title off of somebody. It's just a matter of when. This next match, I kind of got half right? And I say half right because I did say that Mercedes Moné was going to be on the card for Dynasty. And I did say that if there was anybody to go against her, it would be Julia Hart. But I did not think that Mercedes Moné was going to declare for the Owen this soon. I thought that they would, at some point, build this Athena-Mercedes feud a little bit more, and maybe that's when she declares for the Owen, when she, but she is in the first round of the Owen against Julia Hart. You know, I have been wanting to see Mercedes Moné and Julia Hart go at it. I think this is a good spot to do it, and I think in the opening round of the Owen is very interesting. I do, in my head, have Mercedes winning this match. I almost said retaining because I'm so used to her defending a title. I do see Mercedes winning this match unless Athena has a role in having her lose. But in that instance, it would be like Mercedes and Athena are going to end up costing each other in the Owen, and then it's going to be whatever. I do want to see Mercedes versus Athena. I think they should have been on opposite sides of the bracket. I don't understand why they did that. If they do both get to the semifinals, that would be a really, really good match. But a part of me has a feeling that they're going to cost each other. And that's how we build this feud to All In. So, I don't know. Tentatively, right now, I have Mercedes winning for the sake of both Mercedes and Athena getting to the semifinal. But, you know, this next match is another match for the men's Owen Hart Tournament. I didn't get this one correct on here. I thought Hangman would be on the card. Hangman is in the Owen, but I did not guess that it would be these two people, so I don't get credit for that, unfortunately. It is, however, the Proto-Star Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe, and I am super excited for this match. Mark just has this, like, spirit about him to where he just doesn't give up, and Kyle is one of those, like, complete, like, forces, right? Like, he's not gonna stop coming at you until you just, like, lay down and give up. And so them two going at it with both of their resilience and both of their just ability to overcome is going to be a really, really good match. I'm super excited for it, actually. I don't see them having Kyle lose back-to-back matches on pay-per-views, though. So I do think that Kyle Fletcher wins this match and advances to the semifinals on his side of the bracket. This next match, I think I get half credit for this match. I initially had Will Ospreay versus Jay White to start the Owen. Unfortunately, Jay White is injured, so Kevin Knight replaced Jay White, so I'm half right. Like, it was initially supposed to be Will Ospreay and Jay White, but, you know, Jay White unfortunately got injured. I'm hearing he'll have to have surgery. But yeah, I kind of get half credit for that. And with them putting Kevin Knight in this match, it almost makes me glad that they didn't have Will Ospreay versus Jay White right now. Just because the way that they just kind of threw Kevin Knight in there and are almost like feeding him to Will Ospreay is like they were going to have Will Ospreay win that match anyway. So, you know what I mean? I don't know. Obviously, you know, that could also not be true, but that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from it. I also think that Will Ospreay is going to win this match. It's unfortunate that Jay White is not going to be in the Owen Hart Tournament. Same with Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy is also injured. It is unfortunate, but I hope that when Jay White does heal up and he gets better, he comes back. And maybe this is, if Will Ospreay doesn't win the Owen, maybe this is his feud for All In, which would be sick. I would love to see that. As someone that has been wanting Stormblade for a very long time, if Jay White comes back before All In and Will Ospreay does not win the Owen, I need that. This next match was already announced when I made my last prediction video, but it is the International Championship match between Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and Speedball Mike Bailey. I feel like, for me, this is kind of cut and dry. I think Kenny Omega is going to retain. And if I can make a bolder claim, I think he's going to pin Ricochet. I think Speedball is going to have this sort of thing over him, and his feud with Speedball is not going to be over by any means. Like, this isn't the last time they're going to see each other. I do think that Kenny is going to retain simply because of the work that they have been kind of putting into teasing him versus Okada at All In. This is where I see maybe, because Okada's not on the card, so maybe Okada ends up coming out at some point and, you know, having a stare down with Kenny Omega. Who knows? I will say that if they are doing that for All In eventually, like, within the next, like, month or so, they need to escalate things a little more. You know, it's just that. But yeah, I see Kenny Omega retaining. I think Ricochet's gonna get pinned. And that's all she wrote, right? Like, this next match was also confirmed. These next couple matches are the last ones, and they were already confirmed. But Toni Storm versus Megan Bayne for the Women's World Championship. I think Toni is going to retain. I don't see Toni winning that title back and having it be a shorter reign. And I don't think that she's going to lose it to Megan. There is a possibility, I don't even know if I see her losing it at All In. I don't know if they'll have her lose both All In matches back to back. Yeah, I see Toni Storm retaining here. I think it's going to be a really good match. I think it's going to be really entertaining. Obviously, Megan and Toni are incredibly talented. They're going to make this match as incredible as they can. And we're going to get some really good women's wrestling out of the both of them. And I'm very excited for that. This last match, Jon Moxley versus Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Championship. There's been a lot of interesting developments in this Mox versus Swerve thing, you know? While I was at Dynamite, obviously the tag match happened between Marina and Mox, and then Willow and Swerve. And after the match, Mox ended up hitting Willow with a Death Rider. And then after that, Swerve was like, I'm hunting this man down. He didn't even get the chance to hunt him down before they found him and attacked him and dumped Glass in the middle of the ring and threw him onto Glass, and Glass was like in his back. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And that's not even mentioning the part of Hangman and Swerve where, you know, Hangman goes up to Swerve and he's like, this is a waste of time. I'm going to make sure you don't win that AEW World Championship. And they start going back and forth. And Hangman's like, well, you know. And then Swerve was like, you burned my house down. And Hangman was like, you deserve it. And Swerve was like, I know. And Hangman's like face just like shifted. When I tell you, I got full body chills when that happened. Because I had sat there and watched that live. Full body chills. Like, Hangman and Swerve have such great chemistry together, and the way... yeah, a part of me thinks now that Hangman might help Swerve. I know that's a reach, right? Because these two have been killing each other for I don't know how long, for Hangman to all of a sudden want to help Swerve. But you have to understand that this entire time, Swerve has never taken accountability for what he's done to Hangman. Hangman has never had anybody take accountability for what they've done to him. Kenny never did. The Bucks never did. Swerve hadn't up until Dynamite, where Swerve, you know, said, I know, and acknowledged that, you know, he did deserve that. I think that's a huge shift for Hangman. I want to believe that Hangman would possibly help Swerve. Whatever gets the title off of Mox, because at this point, this Death Rider story is, like, throw it away. I'm so tired. Yeah, I think that Swerve wins. I do. I think he is the best person currently to pivot to, other than Darby, but Darby is climbing a mountain on the 15th, I guess. And he won't be back at least for, I think I read somewhere where it takes like 2-3 months to climb Mount Everest. If he even makes it up. Like, I don't want to get morbid about it, but I mean, there's a chance that he could like not return from that. But yeah, so Darby's climbing a mountain. We need to pivot. Swerve is the best option at this moment. I think Tony Khan knows that the fans are not interested in the Death Rider story anymore. I think he understands that. And I think he knows that if he doesn't pivot from this story and soon, that it would be a bad look for his booking and creative team. That's just my thoughts on that. But yes, I do think that Swerve is going to win the AEW World Championship, whether or not it be with help from Hangman. Even if Hangman doesn't help him, I still think that Swerve will win the championship. I think that it is the right thing to do. But yeah, so those are my Dynasty predictions. I got a lot of them right in my initial predicting it way too early video. I'm really happy about that. There were some matches that I just had like no idea if they were going to even be added to the card because I didn't know how many matches would be on the card. So I think overall I didn't do too bad, you know? Oh, I did say I was going to talk about which matches I was most excited for. I'm not going to elaborate on them, I guess, but I will sort of list the matches that I am excited for. I'll list 3. Take it or leave it. Let me see. Mercedes versus Julia Hart. Number 1. Kyle Fletcher versus Mark Briscoe. Oh, actually, all of the Owen matches I like. Even the Will Ospreay Kevin Knight one, which kind of feels like they're feeding Kevin Knight to Will Ospreay. That match is going to be a really good one. I know the spots in that match are going to be really, really sick. And it just, you know, I love a good just match, you know, like. Yeah, and I hate that I did that to myself because I am also really excited for triple threat match for the International Championship. I am very excited about that. I have grown to love Speedball a lot. In my Dynamite Collision video, I guess I'll talk about it now. Speedball was on Collision and high-five one person and do a spinning kick to the other person, and I had my hand sticking out. And there were a few people that were ahead of me, so I was like, I don't think he's gonna, like, be able to high-five me. This man did a spinning kick to my hand, and it hurt like hell. So that happened. I have it on video and everything. It'll be in my recap of Dynamite and Collision that I went to, if you want to go watch that when it uploads Saturday. With all that being said, though, I am going to wrap this video here. If you liked this video, if you didn't, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, debate with me in the comments. I think we should wrap this up now. I got more videos to make. Let's wrap this up. Bye.